Just thought you might like to quickly see a map of the Isle of Man if you'd never seen one before. This is what it looks like. Now, the hotel room window is not very clean, but I'll do my best. Today we're going for a ride on the Snaefell Railway, but overnight, or yesterday afternoon I should say, this arrived and is anchored up in the bay. Not sure what it is, but it's still there this morning. Windows are dirty, aren't they? Can't read anything. Don't even know has the ship been abandoned. I can't really see anybody on the bridge. I did wonder if it's a dredger, but to be honest, looking at those bits and pieces, I wonder if that's a fuel supply ship. Maybe it's delivering fuel to the island. Fuel here is cheaper than on the mainland, but I have to say not much. The one thing that has surprised me though is that 50 years ago there was virtually no road tax, but now some of these cars are paying £400 odd a year, so things have definitely changed in that respect. Standing in the sun, looking at the cold wind, the Laxey station this morning. And closed car 22, arrives in the short working. He's just run round his train on the other side of the main road, funnily enough. And he's heading back to Douglas with trailer 41. While on the other side of the road, car number 5 is waiting to go up the mountain. I think, looking at the windows, that was the 2021 rebuild. Originally with stainless steel window surrounds, but it's been replaced with wooden ones. I'll check that out later, let you know if I'm wrong. Right, I'll try and be as brief as I can. All 6 mountain railway cars were built in 1895. Only 5 survive at the moment, because in 2016 number 3 ran away and careered off the track and was technically destroyed, although I understand the parts are being kept down at Douglas, where they hope they might eventually rebuild it. The car we've seen here was been more or less rebuilt twice, in 1971 and then again in 2023, when, as I say, those windows were changed to wooden frames. 5 cars out of 6 remaining. Looking up towards the mountains now. A bit like being in Cumbria, isn't it? And there's a lovely little station here at Laxey. There we go. Together with a rookery behind it. And there, right in front of us, is Laxey Post Office, inside the petrol station. But what I like is just along here. This is the Lovely viaduct leading away from Laxey towards Douglas. Try and get a better view of it through the trees. What a lovely piece of engineering there. And there's the welcome centre now, repurposed this old church. Isn't that nice? Sorry about the quality of these photos. Taking pictures of pictures never works out very good. I mentioned that post box a little later on, but I thought you might like to contrast what we're doing now with these things from 50 odd years ago. Here's one of the Snaefell Mountain Railway cars, and I've got a nice little comparison here from about 1970, 71 maybe, and contrast it with the next little bit of video, which starts with a car and trailer in a very similar position at Laxey Station. I suppose you can't really notice it very much from here, but the gauge of the Snaefell Mountain Railway is actually 3 foot 6 inches as opposed to 3 foot for the rest of the system, so things are not interchangeable. You might also be interested to know that back in the early 1970s the German town of Aachen was getting rid of some of its older trams, and I think it was found that their electrical gear was pretty similar to the ones on these Snaefell Mountain Railway cars, which were, to be honest, in need of a bit of care and attention. So new bogies were built to original designs, and all the electrical equipment and traction motors from the old Aachen trams were fitted into them. And so for the last 50 years or so, these well over 100-year-old cars have been running with equipment which is probably still closer to 100 years old, but from a German tram system. If it's old and simple and it works, why not reuse it? And there you are. Now, for those of you who like your post boxes, here's one you don't see very often, but somehow quite appropriate at this station. On a man post office, Edward the 7th. How about that? That is quite a rare beast indeed. You often find Georges, you often find Elizabeth, obviously. Edward? Nah. I just got a brownie point. Snaefell Mountain Railway. Signal's green. He's just waiting for the others.
That's good. If you hadn't, it wouldn't have happened.
That's right, June.
You've got to go for it.
So Steve's over in Germany.
Shirley's in Eastwood.
Yeah, round the corner. I've only seen the one.
You don't go in Middles then?
No, I saw her in the post office.
Oh yes, she's always in there.
Winston present.
Yes, because she sells stuff online for her charity. So she goes in there. Yeah. And she works in Middles now.
Oh, she works?
Here comes
Yes.
another,
Yes, she does the bakery. 4 o'clock
here
in the
comes
morning.
another tram.
That's why you don't see her. Yeah, she only does 3 days a week. Goes down Walbridge, goes down that side.
But because you might turn round, you don't know, do you?
But she's very good to me. Well, so's Steve, when he's here.
He comes and drinks your drink and
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's a good boy.
Yeah, I'm going out to see him next month.
Oh, it's very wide, isn't it? Here we go.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, yeah. You may see it move a bit more. Vehicle's not giving way to us, look.
No, we were in the closed one, but you could hear it creaking,
Pushing you back and getting back.
I thought it was going to fall to bits.
Welcome aboard the Snaefell Railway. Your journey to the summit will take about 30 minutes, taking you to the highest point on the Isle of Man. The summit is 2,036 feet above sea level. That's around 621 metres.
Yeah, I won't take a piss. We're going up there anyway. We've got it on
On the right now, you will see the Laxey Wheel, known as the Lady Isabella, with a diameter of 72.5 feet, or just over 22 metres across. It's the largest working water wheel in the world. It was built in 1854 to pump water from Glen Helen, which was part of the Great Laxey Mines industrial complex. In 1875, the Great Laxey Mines produced over 11,000 tonnes of zinc ore. That equalled the entire UK production of the same mineral for that year.
Away we go. You'll notice as we go up here that there are 3 rails. Now, the middle rail was invented by John Barraclough Fell and is known as a fell rail system. Now, on some railways that is used not only to help with going up the mountain or the hill, but also for braking coming down. On this particular railway it isn't used specifically for either, certainly not going up, it's all by adhesion, and coming down, since 1 or 2 various accidents, other methods of braking have been brought into play, and the fell rail is used as an emergency brake. But I tell you what, it's a very effective emergency brake.
On the right now, we are passing the Glen Helen waterfall.
Oh, that's
whether it's a road these days or still a track, but you see that heading along the side of the hill there in the middle, and I guess that's what used to be used to take the products of the Snaefell mine down to the port at Laxey. A word or two about the Great Snaefell Mine. It started off associated with the Great Laxey Mines, but eventually became a separate company. This was the scene of the Isle of Man's worst mining disaster back in 1897, when I think it was 19 miners died after somebody left a candle burning at the end of a shift one day, set fire to a pit prop, and the resultant fire filled some of the lower shafts with a lethal combination of carbon monoxide and a couple of other things. And the shift went down, and most of the shift never came back up. A couple of injuries. The mine did reopen again for business, but there was another rockfall in 1908, and the mine eventually closed at that time. It did reopen briefly in 1955 to process lead zinc ore spoil from here and Foxdale, which was quite successful until there was a fall in the price of lead powder in 1958, which caused final closure. We're heading up now towards the Bungalow station, where the Manx TT circuit crosses the line. You'll see they're preparing for the TT races for 2023 here, and you'll note the aerial mast on top of Snaefell. You'll have noticed the cafe just up there on the hill by the Bungalow. Now, when I was here, this was Murray's Motorcycle Museum. It had moved there from Peel in 1969 thereabouts. Stayed there for 37 years and is now back at its original home in Santon. It's not a very good photograph of the inside, I must admit, but this really was a treasure trove for bikers from everywhere.
We're now arriving at the Bungalow station. Please alight here for the TT circuit. The station building was built in 2002, replacing an older station that takes its name from the original Swiss chalet-style bungalow hotel, erected on this site by the Isle of Man Tramway and Electrical Power Company around 1900. It was demolished in the 1950s.
We're now standing 2,036 foot above sea level on the top of Snaefell in the Isle of Man, looking back down towards the TT course, going down through the valley there, and looking back down towards Douglas. And I'm going to peek round the corner. There is Laxey. The Laxey River rises at what is now the ruined entrance to the old Laxey mines. I'd always wondered why they closed in 1911, 1912, and it seems that towards the end of the 19th century, several miners, about 20 or so, lost their lives because there was an outbreak of CO2 gas. It eventually caused a large fire too, so it destroyed the mine. I think with it destroyed the industry. I think I was getting a bit confused when I did this little bit of spiel up here about the mines. As you will have already heard before you see this, I've told the story of the Snaefell mine. The Laxey mine has its own separate story, and I'll tell that later, which will be in another broadcast, I think, because this is going to be far too long for one to cover both Laxey and Snaefell. I will just, however, make a comment about the line up from Bungalow to here. It's worth mentioning that in the winter they take the overhead wires down due to problems with icing, and any work needed to be done at the top, the top is reached by mechanical engines rather than electric propulsion. They've got a small vehicle or two for doing that. Also, strangely as it may seem, what is now the National Air Traffic Control Services, that used to be the Air Ministry, maintain the aerial mast at the top of the mountain, and they themselves own a small fleet of about 4 vehicles which are kept at the Snaefell Mountain Railway depot in Laxey and used both summer and winter for accessing their equipment on top of the mountain here. On a clear day you can see, so they say, 7 kingdoms. I'm trying to work out which 7 kingdoms. Oh yes! The Kingdom of Great Britain, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, that's 4, Northern Ireland, 5, the Kingdom of Man is 6, and the Kingdom of Heaven is 7. That's it. And if you're brave enough, you'll come up here to the summit where we're here. And here's Jackie, nearly getting blown off the summit. And coming up very shortly, by contrast, here am I, back in probably 1972, I'm guessing, on a very different day in August that year, and I think visiting the Motorcycle Museum. Might have had something to do with the way I was dressed. We're just going to pan round once more. I'd love to film more, but the wind is just too strong. Anyway, that's it. Tram car number 1. Disappears from view. And if there's any wind noise on, I'll also try and reduce it. Bow conductors, and using the fell rail for braking on the way down. There he goes. And now we'll go inside for a warming drink.
And we handles. We handles there as well.
Oh, you had that too? I'll give you that first.
You don't realise it. Yeah, I can see the glasses.
CT course.
It's either it could be the helicopter if they've had an accident with a boat or something. Really, it's all slowly in it. They have to come down the tarmac.
In just a second or two, up will come the other one.
I meant, girls, yeah. I remember people that get the testing pole because they were pleased,
Can I just quickly say, if you are making your own way up to the wheels, so no one or two of you want to do that all the way, when you get there, it's £9 per person.
You're saying it's ad hoc? That's a wine, German wine, isn't it?
I thought it was a bit of pork.
tea and coffee, and there are also toilets and baby change facilities. Don't forget to look out for our special events.
And just to close this video, a couple more views from looking at the grainy photo, probably about 1970, 71 something, and it shows quite clearly just how popular the Manx Electric Railway was then. Look at those people queuing at the booking office just to go to the top of the mountain. Absolutely incredible. See you in the next video when we take a trip up to the Laxey Wheel. Bye for now.